Welcome back. We are going to start now. I would like to invite Anna Kourtis.
Hello, all. Welcome. I'm so grateful to be part of all this gathering where we honor existential therapy and we celebrate it. But to prepare this presentation, it was a bit of a struggle. I was thinking of avoiding it, surrender to my shyness and hide away. But for now, I'll just hide away behind the podium. I was struggling to understand what I want to say. But then I imagined myself here with all of us here together. And somehow, slowly, it came to me how to do this. So bear with me when I read out my notes. Otherwise, all the 25 minutes will go with Anna trying to find the English word to spell it out. Referring to this project as a struggle. Am I allowed to? I mean, let's be honest, true and actual tragedies are happening outside of this room. And here I am nagging about it. How upsetting and unsettling this is. And it's kind of ridiculous as well. But think of all the things that you have been struggling with, that they have been a struggle for you. Can we actually compare with others? Is this comparison a compassion to others and to ourselves, that it is soothing? Or is it there a challenge, to challenge us in order to act, to do something? Or is it something else, something that reveals the struggling nature of humanity? One thing I can say for sure, that life is a constant struggle. Some of us may check if the person saying this is in depression. Some may instantly create an aversion to resonate with it. If life is constant struggle, where is all the fun? And more importantly, what's the point? We wake up each day and unavoidably we choose how to live as mortals, either by following blindly what we have already scheduled and aspired, or by rescheduling, trying to keep ourselves alive, productive in our roles as parents, as friends, as partners, as professionals, to make something out of ourselves. But it is not always easy. Things are getting in the way. When something comes, strangely so, like out of nowhere, and it's like stinging us, we get anxious, nothingness comes in front of us as possibility, and we may get in despair. And hopefully, this may come together with a question. But we usually look the other way and go back to our routine, so to forget, until the next thing that will be out of place and may shake us out of our place, and the question will come again, and we will again have to decide, and are we going to respond differently this time? is existence a bridge itself? I'm lending here two pictures. First, of Nietzsche. Amy gave us this quote earlier. I give this again. Nietzsche thought that, yes, existence is a bridge. What is great about human beings is that they are a bridge and not a purpose. What is lovable about human beings is that they are a crossing over and a going under. What a description of this everlasting movement. But Heidegger brings another marvelous picture to answer this question. So please just stay in the picture and try to project yourself in it when I'm reading. The bridge swings slightly and powerfully over the stream. The banks appear as banks only as the bridge crosses the stream. The banks appear as banks only as the bridge crosses the stream. The bridge designedly causes them to lie across from each other. One side is set off against the other by the bridge. The banks also do not stretch along the stream as indifferent border strips of dry land. With the banks, the bridge brings to the stream the one and the other expanse of the landscape lying behind them. It brings stream and bank and land into a mutual neighborhood. Always and ever differently, the bridge leads the hesitating and hastening ways of human to and from, so that they may get to other banks and in the end, as the mortals, to the other side. The bridge swings over river and stream, whether the mortals keep the arching of the bridge's course in mind or forget that they always underway to the last bridge, are basically striving to overcome the ordinary and unholy in themselves in order to bring them before the holiness of the divinities. The bridge gathers in its way earth and sky, the divinities and the mortals. Existence is dwelling and bridging. We are seeking something to feel familiar with, and what we are standing on is already built and solid. To feel that we are somewhere protected, where all things, these four already mentioned, the earth, the sky, the divinities, and the mortals included, in everything, that all things are in their place, in accordance and in right moderation, while our actions guard them all. This is what Heidegger puts forth as a characteristic of dwelling. Constant and conscious, continuous emergence of ruptures, disruptions, betrayals, disturbances, breakups, breakages in various intensities and with different ramification. Events that we will get thrown into, and they most probably not leave us the same as we used to be. Heraclitus, a very obscure, enigmatic guy who I love to read, observed that without chains, there would be no world. This is Heidegger's dwelling. And this is Heraclitus. He says, war is father of all and king of all. And some he manifested as gods, some as men. Some he made slaves, some free. War, in its literal meaning, may terribly turn things upside down. But we don't take Heraclitus' aphorisms only in the literal sense of this first impression when we read the text. War in Greek, polemos, derives from either pelema, meaning fear, terror, or polemeo, which means to vibrate, to palpitate. So couldn't any kind of shock, especially war, but any kind of shock threatening us while approaching, at the same time revealing things, shedding lights into change of any kind, even if it is something painful. Heraclitus brings forth the natural aspect of life that that of the eternal conflict, which leads to the eternal becoming. We are never sure if whatever we build is going to be the same the next moment. We seek and form familiarity and security, but something can shake it up. Together with the uncanny, nothingness appears. In the breaching and the anxiety that shows us its threat, which may come at any moment and in any way, we are called to consider this homelessness. It calls us to reflect upon the way we are in this existence. Existence is tragicomedy. Individually or collectively, difficult, painful, and tragic events, minor or major, may occur. It does not matter if we are experiencing it ourselves or if it happens to someone near us, nor to someone very far away from us. They have access to us, and we have immediate access to them. Well, tragedies first appeared in ancient Athens to convey the problems of life for the people living in the organized city. Comedy also appeared as a satire to laugh on the struggles and the mishaps of the everyday of politicians, of heroes, of tragic writers themselves. Hazel Burns offers an interesting definition of both. She describes tragedy as an active attempt to transcend the ordinary, and this may lead to a more significant and purposeful life. And comedy, on the other hand, she describes it as giving a temporal clarity. Like it puts everything back to a place that reminds us that we cannot control our aspirations. A tragicomedy blends the tragic and the comedic. It is a quest for alternatives, but together with the ephemeral acknowledgement that life can disrupt our plans. Tragicomedy can be considered a stance on how one would look at all the choices and events that life endeavors and which have no logic. Existence has no logic. Well, we think it has, and we are trying to explain it and somehow control it, but no, it doesn't. It doesn't actually have any logic. It always surprises us. In the tragicomedies of existence, there may be no laughter, but there emerges the hidden irony that we can never prevent, that life can break our logical and well-measured order and send us in a different direction. Humans, we are absurd, that is, and the comic comes when we realize our humanity. Existence is bridging. Through the comedic, but not always laughable, in front of our own and others' tragedies, existence is calling us to consider and reconsider what it means for each one of us to be human. It leads to a continuous reconsideration of our sedimented identity. While any kind of breaching as homelessness seems to have taken away our attention, it actually calls us back to become attentive. It makes us contemplate on what has been broken and see what it is to be cultivated or constructed. There it comes, the breach, in its other meaning, to rise from the depths. It is calling to find ourselves, to act, to create something that can guard our dwelling on this earth. But this creation, and it is from the pieces, poetry, pieces in Greek, is delicate through contemplation and meditative attention to how we live and care for us and the surroundings. Existence is care. We are struggling to care, although unavoidably we do care so. Our distance from ourselves, others, things, and the world may convey how we care. What distance is good enough for care? How do we treat whoever and whatever we encounter, including ourselves? Can there be a space like a bridge, the bridge description of Heidegger, where we can consciously be present to whatever comes and let it, by sparing it with our presence, do its course? Let's go back to this description of Heidegger, who says, to dwell, to be brought to peace, means to remain at peace in das frei, which means in the freedom that spares everything in its essence. The basic feature of dwelling is this sparing. Human existence is based on dwelling, and indeed, in the sense that the mortals reside on the earth. On the earth already means under the sky. Both of these also mean remaining before the divinities and including belonging to human coexistence. This is a unity, earth, sky, divinities, and mortals. So can there be a space, like the bridge description of Heidegger, where we can consciously be present to whatever comes and let it, with our presence, do its course? Therapeutic encounter is a bridging and bridging medium. Therapy is the place where ruptures and breakages and groundlessness and anxiety are discussed and can be processed. Lito is a 30-year-old client of mine. She brings what it is happening to the world, often in therapy. She cares for the people that are affected by violence of any kind. She herself has been a victim of physical violence by her mother as a child. She now watches the news or TikTok or any other medium and feels suffocated by the cruelty that exists out there. She wants to help, but she doesn't know how. Any type of breach can be brought experientially from the client, but it may affect me as therapist as well. This is so because we are neighboring. We are in the process of something while we find our way to be with each other and because of each other. I have not been physically abused, but I live in a world of people who have seen its violent face. I am of this world too. Our co-dwelling is jeopardized there. And I can see Lito striving to make something out of what has happened to her and to so many people out there. She's searching for her place. Years ago, when she started therapy and she was swallowed by her trauma and her sorrow, she would not have paid that much attention. She would have tried to escape from it. Now she wants to do something, to build a bridge with and for other victims of violence. And we are two people in the room making an effort to build the bridge. Isn't therapy a space co-created from the effort to gain back the dwelling? Although I use humor in therapy, I will surely never become sarcastic at the experience of someone's suffering. But Lito finds a point to become sarcastic by finding this violent world ridiculous. She sees more clearly how she needs to move. Again, the phrase. By finding this violent world ridiculous, she sees more clearly how she needs to move. Can this be a sign that the bridge is already on its way to be built and the path to the other side of the river bank is closer now? To build a bridge, like a cautious and caring engineer, needs great consideration, respect to the conditions and to nature, respect of resting, and contemplating on the careful handling of every single step. And also by considering all the breaches that may come in the meantime, even between us. Lito has been sarcastic to me as well, many times. It is mostly at times when I haven't respected her process. If I hurry, she says sometimes, "You are talking a very strange language right now. What makes you think I understand?" To build a bridge, Lito needs to gain clarity, to understand what she can and cannot do. She does not need directions. She just needs the space to let all her experiences unfold and consider them one by one. So can I impose my theory, whichever this is, the way I see things to a client? It never helps. Or it helps for them to be sarcastic to me. My theory is, as Hannah Arendt argues, a stance of the spectator. It comes from the word theatis, which is spectator. If I stick to it, I do not get the opportunity to participate, to be involved. Honesty does this, helps. Honesty that does not derive merely from exchanging worldviews, of course, but from letting Lito affect me. Let her world and their world affect me through deep connection and careful, active listening may be there. And there is a chance of a creative, a poetic dialogue. It requires a balance between staying who I am, but open to be moved by the other person without losing my own space. I'm present there to and for both of us. Being present to Lito does not mean only to stay in not knowing, but also to actually be there without the intention to get something out of it, to win her, or to confirm to myself at best that I am thinking straight. If Lito needs to no escaping anymore, I cannot escape and hide behind my role. I have to be there as a person in this space and in this dialogue where I'm still the helper of the builder. I may ask the questions, reflect on the affirmations, challenge her to her sedimentations, but not lead the way. Existence is constant movement and flow, a continuous circle of breaching and bridging, tragicomedy and absurd. The breaching and bridging is continuously happening, hence the gerund to both. This movement is human existence's movement. If we see existence too seriously, we may hold it so still that we go against movement itself. We as mortals are in a constant movement even when posing. We are always on the way to find our homeland, to feel home, to dwell in peace with all that we encounter, being all as unity of the world. That is actually the struggle. But what a magnificent struggle. To letting go to that everlasting circle as mortals. I will finish with the realization that Lito made a couple of years ago, but without her knowing that Seferis, a Nobel Prize poet, wrote about the same thing almost 90 years ago. Thought of the ephemeral that paralyzes you. Houses, deaths, separations. Life of man is made out of times. Time to sow, time to reap, time of sorrow, time of joy, time of love, time of solitude. If you think of it that way, you could, even at your lowest moment, to rest upon it, because that movement also will belong in one of the times of your life. Thank you. Yeah, yeah.
Do you have any questions for Anna? Okay, I'll give a minute for you to think. And if you don't have any questions, we will move forward with our next guest. Okay, I see a hand.
Where is it?
Hi,
Hello.
thank you for your presentation. I really loved it. I have a question for you quoted Nietzsche. It was very interesting as a quote. It's not maybe like you did a deep analysis, but just curious, like what does it mean when it says it's a bridge, human existence, it's a bridge rather than a purpose? What is the bridge offering right there that maybe the purpose is not? Like, what does that mean exactly?
Yes, it is a big section in Thus Spoke Zarathustra, this one. And actually, the bridge it is this movement, that it is not to get into something, to reach something, but we are always on this becoming. And Nietzsche, after this
okay.
sentence,
I get it. So it's like
You
the
get it.
becoming, you're always creating
Yeah.
yourself, as you mentioned earlier.
yes,
Okay.
yes. And Nietzsche, after this sentence, is describing um, attitudes, behaviors, choices of people where they cross the bridge or they go under the bridge. It's a beautiful
Okay.
section, but it is this, yes,
Okay,
this
thank you.
process.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Merhaba.
Hello.
Heidegger'den bir alıntı yaptınız. Her zaman Heidegger'den bir alıntı yaptınız. Her zaman ana vatanımızı bulmaya çalışıyoruz. Sizce ana vatanımız neresi? Onu bulabilir miyiz?
You've brought up quotation from Heidegger. We're always looking for our homeland. So, do you think we can find our homeland at all?
No, I think we are always on the way to find it. We are always on the way. We try to, yes, we reach it and then we lose it and then we reach it, we reach it, we build it, but then because, ourselves is always another quote of Heraclitus that says, existence is always passes us. We're not the same.
We have time for a couple of questions more in case there are any, or comments if you'd like to take any.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Oh,
Okay.
there.
It's just a comment, really. And I just love of reminding us that existence is a tragicomedy. I just think that's such a good way of holding on to, the absurdity of life. So thank you for your presentation. It was lovely. Thanks.
Thank you.